Hello, and welcome to my channel. I am so excited to be back here with you guys. There's been so many things happening. However, before I go right into it, I'm going to say, first of all, I have to acknowledge those coming into my channel. If this is your first time, welcome. This is Ameze Superstar, where we talk about amazing things, okay? Meet amazing people and discourse amazing topics. And if you're a returning friend of mine, my co-host, thank you, and make sure you click that subscribe button, leave your comments, write to me directly. A lot of you like to write. Well, it's something to be said for people still writing, so I appreciate that. You can write directly to me to amezesuperstar@gmail.com. So, oh my goodness, how have you been? There's been talks all around the globe about opening up the country in Nigeria, in Europe, the different countries in Europe, Italy, Greece, UK. Some are delaying theirs, but there's talks. And then in Asia, and in the United States, all around the globe, people are thinking of opening up the economy. Opening up the country, which of course opens up the economy. What are your thoughts on that? There are many schools of thought. Some people think, oh my God, no way. No way, because there's fear that, the virus might just spike up again. Others are like, oh, it doesn't matter whether we open it now or we open it later. The virus is going to spike up. So we might as well just bite the bitter pill, if you will, right now and, be prepared. So I would like to know your opinion, okay? Are you of the school of thought that think, go right ahead, open up places of business, or let's wait a tad, let's wait a little bit? I will tell you this, in my part of the country, it seemed to me opening up places of business and social places means carte blanche, take off your mask, take off your gloves, you don't need to wash your hands anymore. Because that's what I'm seeing. There's no longer social distancing between people. People are not doing that. And that is so scary. I mean, that really is so scary. So I see people all clumping together, people not wearing masks anymore. It doesn't matter. People, I don't know. We had no way of monitoring if they're washing their hands or not. But clearly, maybe they're not. So, what can I say? It is scary. I've known people who've died, and I think I've shared this with you guys. A close friend of mine died. We're going to really, really miss this person. And then a colleague of mine actually is a survivor of the Covid-19 virus. So it's been very bad. It's been very bad. One thing I'm also very curious is, I think I've said this in my podcast. If you don't know about my podcast, it's Ameze Live, and you can listen to it anywhere you listen to your podcast. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM, anywhere. Just plug in my name, Ameze Live, Ameze Live. And I'll be right there and you can listen. I have great guests. I've had great interviews that are not only entertaining, they've been informative, educational, and what have you. Some have been controversial, and that's okay, because what does that do? It makes us, dialogue. And dialogue is always good. It's a way to move forward. If you see me looking down, it's because it's my computer. I have some bullet points there so I don't forget and just ramble, because that has been known to happen, and it does happen, okay? And so, again, hopefully I'm not having too much glare on my face, because a darling friend of mine, I love you, sis, she told me to be very conscious and very mindful of glare. So I'm trying, this is me lighting up my space. So I'm doing what I can. So I am the school of thought that, yes, the COVID-19 lockdown and the virus has been, the COVID-19 virus has really been bad. The lockdown, I think there's some good in the lockdown. A lot of people, if you listen to my podcast, I actually talk about this too. A lot of people have gone back to the drawing board. People are writing, people are watching movies, things they've put off, for whenever, like a later date. People were going back to it. Projects that were forgotten, projects that have caused tension, in relationships and in homes, suddenly being revisited. Romance is booming. Some school of thought think, now having to live every day with the same person. Well, you have been living every day with the same person. It's just that you both had time, space to be away from each other during the day or night. But now you're cooped up together, so it's testing your relationship. Now, is that something that... Because I've been hearing a lot of this. I've gotten letters of where people are talking. One in particular said she and her spouse, it's a female, and if she gives me permission, I will use her name, but she didn't say so, but I did write to her. And that's one thing. If you guys write to me, when you write to me and you want me to use your story, you've got to state there that it's okay for me to use your name. Okay? So she said she couldn't stand the husband because suddenly it's like, who's this person? But over the course of 4 or 5, is it going on 6 weeks? They have rediscovered each other. They were able to talk, sit down, when the kids have gone to bed, actually sit down and discuss things that have been bone of contention between them. Now, that's a good thing to come out of the lockdown, don't you think? I think so. I think it's really great. And she said it's so funny because before the lockdown, she already thought there's no way. Because the last child, the baby of the family, is actually, I think the baby of the family is a senior, meaning, final year in high school, in secondary school, for those of you who live outside of here. So high school, secondary school is the same thing. So senior means final year. And she was like, no, this marriage isn't going to make it. She's done raising, they have 4 kids. And like, she's tried, she can't take this. She's still young. And while she's still young, she wants to be able to make hay while the sun shines. That's an old proverb, old quote from way back when. I remember my mom always used to say that. Make hay while the sun shines. What does that mean? Do things now while you're able to, okay? You don't want to procrastinate. So that's what that is. Anyway, so I digress. And she said, thankfully, because of the lockdown, they had to face issues that have been bothering them, things they've had to deal with, things they've had to contend with, things that were sweeping under the rug, if you will, and now it's all come back to the fore. Initially, she said the initial breakdown, the initial lockdown, it was a lot of fights, it was a lot of slamming of doors, it was a lot of crying, and she got tired, and if she could, she would have left, and it really got bad. I mean, because they had the last baby with them. I call baby, well, it's a baby, the last of their child, and then the other 3 came and joined them. So it was like they had to hash out so many things in their bedroom, because one thing, thankfully, they've both agreed on is not to fight in front of the kids. Now that, I have to tell you, it's not easy. Because when you're angry, you're angry. I know people talk about when you're angry, count 1 to 10, take deep breath. It takes discipline. It's not easy. Sometimes you're going to bust out, and you're just going to bust out where you bust out. In the kitchen, in front of the kids, in front of TV, it doesn't matter. But I will tell you, if it's something you can actually practice, and it's practice it. Eventually, it gets easier and better for you. So she said, and I think over the years, they've probably learned to do this. They will go in the room or she said, what she normally has done over the years is cry in the shower. I've done that before. Cry in the shower because you're so sad and you're so angry and things are not going the way you want in that relationship. And sometimes the relationship is so bad and all you want to do, you want to cry. And again, I'm not going to mention her name unless she gives me permission to. But I have been one of those women who've also gone in the shower and cried my heart out. Even just thinking about it now makes me sad. It was a terrible relationship I was in. And I was blindsided. I didn't know. And one of these days, I'm probably going to talk about these things, I don't mind sharing because my story can help somebody else. But crying in the shower, I wanted to just let you know, lady, you're not alone. I'm sure there's so many women out there who've also had to do it or are still doing it. Sometimes it makes you feel good. You just want to cry. It's better you go in the shower and cry than kill someone, right? You don't want to bottle that up or end up getting sick. So I do understand that. So she said she did a lot of that, and eventually, and he didn't know this for years. How obtuse can men be? That is so obtuse. He wouldn't know. And now that I think about it, I don't think my partner at the time even knew too. Because you come out and... This leads me to something else. Why do women hide their... I mean, if you're crying, well, maybe not women. I guess men do it too. Your spouse, your partner, your relationship significant other actually should know that you're crying and that you're unhappy. I mean, why are we hiding it though? I mean, I'm trying to remember now. Why was I hiding mine? It wasn't going anywhere. I was just sick. I wasn't happy. You know, we're trying to make it work, but you're sad. You're grieving. It's a way to grieve because that relationship is leaving. It's going. And you know, for me, it's like, you know it's ending and you're sad. Write to me. Let me know. Ameze superstar@gmail.com. Why do you cry in your showers? For those of you who have cried before, are still crying. Let's talk about this. Oh, interesting. I just thought about an episode I'm going to do on my podcast. Now, remember to tune in to Ameze Live on Anchor FM. You can listen to it anywhere podcast is anchored. You know, anywhere you listen to your podcast, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Radio Public. There's so many other places. iHeartRadio. I mean, the list goes on and on. Just type in AMEZE live and I'm there. But why do we cry in the showers? So this lady will cry and then she cries herself to sleep sometimes. And it came to a head where she's like, I want out. I can't do this anymore. I'm young enough. Well, I'm still pretty. I still have my wits about me and I still have that, you know, unction and that zest for life. I want my life back. I've given my life to you guys, you know, the kids, the husband, and this is so, and don't get me wrong, men also go through this, but I think it's more of a woman thing where women put their lives on hold to raise a family. I'm also guilty of that, where you're like, you know what, you're going to put everybody first. I think it's the way we're wired. People say we're natural nurturers, and that's probably what it is. But please comment, let me know. Why do women put their lives on hold for their husbands and for their kids? I can tell you right now, I don't think men do that. Is it because men are the providers and they're wired that way and society has raised them that way to believe that they've got to provide? So you have to be able to separate all those, you know, those different people from your job as a provider. Well, then that's probably what women do too. We separate and add everyone and prioritize everyone first and make ourselves the last person. This is, oh my God. I can just think of so many things where, you know, I can take this talk to, because there's so many things just coming to my mind now. Anyway, back to this woman. But somewhere during the lockdown, things started to change. He started to listen for one. You've got to have a partner that listens. If a partner doesn't listen to you, then you're doomed, seriously. And wow, I've been here where do you all know that, you know, that I think movies, it could be movies or something, or it should be movies, or maybe in commercials where you're like standing in the middle of the room and you're screaming and the spotlight is on you, but everyone is just going around you and no one's noticing you and you're just screaming. Oh, I've been there. Like you're screaming at the top of your voice, but no one's paying you any mind. And you're crying and you're even throwing tantrums and no one cares. The most important person that should listen is not even paying you any mind. Men. I think women make good listeners. I do. I'm not spotlighting, well, because maybe a lot more women come forward and talk about their feelings. If you're a guy out there and you're watching this video or listening to this, the audio of this video, write to me. If you think you're a great listener and you think your wife, your partner, your spouse, your girlfriend, your fiance is the one not listening. A lot of women complain men don't listen. I say men have very selective hearing, like they hear what they want to hear. Because sometimes you're saying things when you actually want them to respond to what you're saying. For some reason, they're obtuse. They're not like deer in the headlights. They're not listening to you. And then when you want them, you're just saying something flippant, something rhetoric. It doesn't really demand an answer or response for that matter. And then they come alive and they give you some answer. And you're like, you heard that? It's like, yeah, I do. Men do that. I have experienced that. But I will tell you this, you cannot put a price on a man who listens. It's priceless. You want the man in your life to listen to you. And when the man in your life doesn't listen to you, I fear women start to look elsewhere for someone who's going to listen to them. If it's the girlfriend's, good. But then it could be somebody else. It could be a colleague at work. It could be a friend that is not necessarily a female. That's how trouble starts. How did trouble get started? Okay. So if you're a man or a woman and someone is crying for help, you've got to listen. You've got to listen. If you think that relationship is worth saving, you have got to listen. Listening goes a long way. I make it. For one thing, I'm a good listener. I mean, I'm going to even pat myself on the back. I do. Because people need to understand this. Relationship needs work. It's not easy to be in a relationship because that person is different from you. I mean, you by yourself give yourself problems. So imagine having to live with someone else. They're coming with their baggage too. However, people talk about communication. You cannot stress you can stress enough the importance of communication. That's part of listening. You listen. Communication is two ways. For those of you who don't know what communication is, okay. So communication is an information is giving out and someone at the end of that communication is receiving it. And then that person also gives out information and you at your end receive it. So it's a two-way street. So it doesn't matter if you're talking and you're not listening. That's not communicating. Okay? So listen more. We all should learn this. Even I. Listen more. Okay? It's interesting. Relationship dynamics actually kind of interest me. Because I'm a writer and I'm a filmmaker, and those are the things that drive my writings and my movies. So this lady, I'm almost tempted, but I know she's going to let me know if I can use her name and if she can come here and talk. I'm open. I've told you guys, if you want to be interviewed, you want your story featured, if you write to me and you want me to use your story, you've got to put your name. I can use the story. However, I'm not going to say who it is. So some of you are probably trying to use my channel to communicate, wink, wink, to your significant other. Then you got to let me know. Then I'll say that. I really would. This lady, I'm so happy she shared her experience with us because I'm glad. That's one good story from lockdown. So how many of you did the lockdown save your relationship? I want to know. Let me know. I'm really excited because they were on the brink of divorce, but the lockdown has forced them to face their demons and fight their demons. And she's like, now these are her words, they rediscovered each other. And that she's now so in love with her husband. And there's so many things she had taken for granted that she thought he was guilty of. But when he had the chance to explain it, it suddenly made sense. But because they didn't talk about it with everyday hustle and bustle, she just bottled it up. And she said, no, that's not true. She had tried to talk to him, but he wasn't listening. Because of that, it's like a race. We're all in a race every day, It's like you're hitting the ground running, and every day. And then at the end of the day, evening comes, you eat, you watch a little TV or the news, and then you go to sleep, and then the next morning it starts all over again. It's like one of those wheels, like the guinea pigs, like those who keep guinea pigs and mice, when they go through those round things. That's what it is. It's like every day you keep doing that every day, and there's no time for the most. It's interesting because the thing the husband said was, I'm working hard for my family. That is why I work hard. It got to the point where I felt you were not respecting me. Respect is big with men. And you went to appreciate what I was doing. I go out there and I work to make sure that you and the kids have the best. That's all well and good, but you've also got to include them. You've got to bring them along. A lot of men feel left out when this happens. The woman's got the kids, and she's got you too. And the man feels left out. And he said he felt left out because it was like her, the kids against him. No, it's that's not how it is. The thing is, and I really want to talk about this, because, it's a two-way street. The man feels left out. The woman feels taken advantage of. She thinks the man is taking advantage of her. Because the truth of the matter is, if she hasn't got the home front down, like on lockdown, taking care of stuff, you, the man, you can't function outside the home. And if the roles were flipped, what's to say role? I don't know. I don't want to get into gender roles or what have you. People are like, who says the man has to be the one to get outside to work? I don't know. Depends on what situation yours is in. Whoever goes out to work, and sometimes, and most times actually, is the two of you, the roles, then there are no roles. They're bloodlines. You just have to appreciate your spouse. You've got to appreciate that person you love. If you're working hard to provide a lifestyle, that's because you love them. But then you've got to let them know. You've got to let them know. You've got to pause sometimes and say, hey, honey, I'm here. I'm trying to do this. I want to make you happy, but I'm here. And then she or he could respond, I know you're trying to make me happy, but can you just pause just a little bit? Just hold me for a little bit. And I know you can go right ahead and do what you're doing, but just for a little bit. I just want to feel you. I just want you to hold me and tell me and drive away my fears. And we all have fears. We all have insecurities we deal with. Everybody does. If you don't, then let's know your secret, because clearly you're not human. Seriously. You don't have insecurities. If it's not physical, it's mental, if you are in a relationship, there are always times when you feel insecure and you just need to be validated. Now, that's not the same thing as saying your life is totally dependent on the other person and then you need constant validation. Please get it right. They're two separate things. You wanting validation from your spouse or your partner, your girlfriend, boyfriend, or fiance is totally normal. You always have to check in. Feel the pulse. You got to stoke the fire. You have to work as a relationship. Just the way you feed your buddies, the way you feed your job, you've got to feed your relationship. Oh God, I'm just loving this. I'm on fire. This girl is on fire. I'm on fire, guys. These things are just coming. I don't even have any bullets right here. I've gone past that. Just the same way you feed your job, you feed your buddies, you have got to feed that relationship. Sister, brother, you've got to feed it. It needs food. It needs intimacy. It needs love, words. It needs just saying, thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for taking care of the children. Thank you for taking care of the home. Thank you for washing my clothes. Thank you for ironing my clothes. Thank you for sitting down and watching this TV show with me. Thank you for being in the movie theater. Anything. Thank you for buying me this car. Thank you for the jewelry. Thank you for the lovely meal. even if it tastes horrible, say thank you. For those of you who don't care, your head is buried in the sand or in the cloud, sex is important. You need to know that. Sex is important, okay? It is what it is. You got to feed it. And that's all part of it. Sometimes women get because women are kind of passive aggressive, because some cultures a woman is not encouraged or even allowed, maybe. I don't know about allowed. There are ways you can go around it. But it's possible where maybe some cultures women are not supposed to talk about sex or describe it or talk to their husband. I don't know, but you as a man, if you live in those cultures, you've got to try to satisfy your girl, or she's going to look outside. Is it planned? She doesn't plan to look outside. No. Now, there are planners. There will be people who will deliberately find pleasures outside. No. It just means that you make her vulnerable. And a sweet talker comes around, he's going to sweep her off her feet, and that will be the end of that. One thing about women, I was talking to my friends, and she said something, one of them especially, she's like, women don't, because of the way the society, because of double standard, because a man cheats and even the society are like, forgive him, he's a good provider, yada, 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 blah, 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 boring. And he gets just a tap, on the wrist, and he keeps it moving. Now with a woman, oh my God, it's like the scarlet letter, I mean, it is, literally. And she's like a pariah, and everyone points fingers at her, even her kids turn against her. So women are not, it's not easy for them to cheat. However, if for whatever reason she does, it's tough to bring her back to status quo. And I think, and this is what my friends and I talked about, because women generally kind of mix sex with love. So if she's sleeping with a guy, she's probably already involved mentally. Unlike the man. Okay, anything with a whore. I know this is not right because some men do not like that, but it's true. For men, they can separate love from sex. Actually, I remember many years ago, this was, I think I was in my early 20s, and I remember it was actually a guy I was dating, and he said something. He came, I think I wasn't home. That was back in the days where cell phone wasn't a big thing. Okay, I know I'm dating myself right now. So I think he called and I said I was going to be home. We had the home phone, but I didn't have a cell phone. No one did back then. So, but he was a very cocky, arrogant fellow. And I think I just got tired of it. Anyway, so I went to see a friend of mine, but he came still that night. I was still... he came to my house, but I wasn't there. So, and then the very next morning, see, he was in love now. Because he was so arrogant. I'm like, what's your problem? If you love me, if you want me, then timing is important. Time is important to me. If you tell me you're going to be there, then be there. And if you're not going to, come on, try and reach me on the phone. We had a phone in the house, landline. So, so the very next morning he was there. Of course, I was feeling cool with myself. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, where are you? I'm like, why, what's this? I went to my friend. He's like, who's that? So I told him, and a little jealousy here and there is okay. I'm fine with that. I mean, it's actually necessary. You need to show a little jealousy here and there. That's how people know you care, because when people care for you or they love you, they don't want to share you. So he's like, well, I just need to know. I don't want anyone playing around on me. I'm like, playing around on you? You should talk. I mean, I don't see you when you say you're going to be there. You're lousy with time. It's like, it's different with men. I'm like, pray tell, how do you mean? And he said, well, for men, I mean, I'm not playing around on you. I work hard. And he really did. He was an attorney trying to build his practice. He's like, I work hard, and you know where my office is, and you can reach me. It was something I had climbed, Anyway, he's like, I'm not playing around on you, but see, I'm a man. With men, sex is sex, love is love. I love you. I'm like, okay. Yeah, that was the first time. Actually, that was the first time he told me he loved me. I was on cloud nine. I was so in love. And I'm like, yeah. And with women, it's like, no, if you as a woman, you're sleeping with another man, you're already gone. You're already in love with that guy. And fast forward many eons later, and I'm talking to my friend, and this friend of mine, hey Mish, and she said, yes, so I've said your name. She's probably like, no, I don't want you to say my name. Well, that's your nickname, Mish. Anyway, so she's like, babe, if a girl steps out, you know she's gone. That's how Mish talks. Like, girl, she's gone. Because for her to do that, she's been through some shit, okay? S-H-I-T, yeah. Anyway, and that for guys step out, they come back and step up. But when a girl, babe, she mistakenly steps out, that's it. It's done. And I've actually heard that before, but do you agree? If and when, God forbid, a woman steps out on a relationship, clearly that guy is already getting to her. Because women are wired differently. It's just like women are like friends with benefits. Sometimes a girl starts to catch her feelings. Oh my God, do you know how many nuggets I've given out today? How many? There's so much. And it all started from this wonderful married lady. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, how the COVID lockdown saved her marriage. Aww. Thank you for sharing. And I'm going to be ending this episode right now. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so, Ameze Superstar. Make sure you tune in to listen to Ameze Live anywhere you listen to your podcast. Also, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Ameze Superstar. You can write directly to me at amezesuperstar@gmail.com. I love you guys. Please be safe. Let's all put hands together and make great things, okay? Let's get rid of this stupid virus. All right, love you guys. See you my next episode.